See, I think yesterday I gave you work, right? So I found out all the left cosets, right? Not for this. I asked you to find the left cosets and right cosets of S3. I gave you one example also. I think I remember.
Ma'am, you just gave us the example, I think.
Okay. Have you done it?
Ma'am, for S3?
Ah,
No, ma'am.
you didn't do it. Then okay. One at least I'll teach you. Left cosets I'll teach you. Then you have to go to the right cosets. You have to do by yourself. So you need to. You'll find something. That is, you cannot say that left cosets and right cosets are not the same. I told you one point yesterday, right? When they'll be the same, whenever group is. Yeah, I mentioned yesterday, yeah.
When the operation is commutative.
Operation is commutative, group is abelian, right? Okay. So can you find one subgroup out of it? Many subgroups are there. For order 2, how many subgroups are there? Order 2.
3 subgroups.
3, ma'am.
3 subgroups. Okay. Order 3. Only 1.
2.
Right? 1, 1. I 1, 2, 3, 1, 3, 2. That's all. Okay. So which one we can take? Order 3 or order 2? Your preference.
Ma'am, 2.
2 will do. Check. I'm taking this, right? Okay. So what is to find the left cosets first? Find the left cosets. Okay. So I prefer, I told you already, right? So what you do? I composition H. What do you mean by I composition H? I will be operated with each and every element. I composition I, comma, I composition 1, 2. So it is simply I, comma 1, 2. That is H. I think you understand. I composition I is I composition 1, 2 is again 1, 2. Right. And then I will go with what? 1, 2 composition H. That means 1, 2 composition I, comma 1, 2 composition 1, 2. 1, 2 composition I is 1, 2 again. What is 1, 2 composition 1, 2?
I, ma'am.
I. So something you can observe here. I composition H is also H. 1, 2 composition H is also H. Why is this happening? Because see, you have chosen the first 2 elements, but
Ma'am,
these 2 elements are actually the elements of H itself.
which itself.
Whenever you are choosing, if you choose the elements of H itself, and if you try to find left or right cosets, always it will be the same. You'll get the same H back. Right? Because closure property will be satisfied, right? Because of that. Okay. So I will say that, okay, later we'll consolidate. Now we'll go to the next we'll go. Next is 1, 3 composition H. What is 1, 3 composition H? 1, 3 composition I, 1, 3 composition 1, 2. Can you find what is 1, 3 composition 1, 2? You can look into what or I'll teach you the other way, easy way. I'll tell you 1, 3 composition 1, 2 is, please listen. You have to start from the right. I want to find the image of 1. Here 1 goes to 2. Then I'm going to 2 here. Where does 2 go here? Where does 2 go here?
2 itself.
2 is fixed. Then I need to find the image of 2 because now I'm at 2. So find the image of 2 here. Where does 2 go here? Right side?
1.
1. Where does 1 go here?
3.
3. Okay, now come here. Where does 3 go here? Fixed.
Ma'am, 3.
3 is fixed. 3 is fixed. 3. Correct. Where does 3 go here? 1.
1.
Because 3 goes to 1. So 1, 3 into 1, 2 is 1, 2, 3. So if you are not comfortable with this, you have to do like this. 1, 3 is what? 1, 2 is multiply and right. I think this is better only, but you have to understand. So 1, 3, comma 1, 2, 3. Okay. Then I'll take 2, 3. 2, 3 composition H. That is 2, 3 composition I, comma 2, 3 composition 1, 2. So this first one is 2, 3. Very obvious. Can you find the second one? 2, 3 composition 1, 2. How do you do? Start with 1, right? So here 1 goes to 2. Now go here. Where does 2 go here?
3.
3. So I should write 3 here. Then I need the image of 3. So see here. Where
3.
does 3 go here? This fixed. 3 goes to 3. Now come over here. So again, that means you are still in 3. 3 goes to 2 here. Okay, now I need the image of 2. 2 goes to 1, and here 1 is fixed. 2 goes to 1. 1, 3, 2 is the answer. Okay, why is this point clear? Okay, then next 1, 2, 3 composition. How many distinct left cosets you expect? Distinct, I'm saying how many distinct left cosets you will be expecting? It is equal to
4.
4. Just think
4
and
or
say.
5.
Can you please repeat?
Ma'am, 4 or 5.
How many elements are there in S3? 6.
6.
How many elements are there in H? 2.
2.
So 6 by 2, 3 distinct cosets will be there because cosets will partition the group. So if it is partitioning means if you find the union of all that thing, nothing will be common in that. If you find the union of that, you will get back S3. And you have to be very careful. Each and every coset will have the same number of elements. So that means obviously 6 by 2, 3 distinct cosets. All right. 1, 2, 3 composition H. Now tell me. It is 1, 2, 3 into I. 1, 2, 3 into 1. Okay, can you please find this? 1, 2, 3 into I is 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3 into 1, 2. How do you do this? Please.
1, 3, ma'am.
1, 3, yeah. Sure, okay. Because 2 will be fixed anyway. Okay, correct. 1 goes to 2. Okay, here 2 goes to 3. Okay, here 3 is fixed. Here 3 goes to 1. So 1, 3. Correct. Good. Next, 1, 3, 2 into H. Can you please do this?
Two, 3, ma'am.
2, 3. I think all we have completed. 6 possibilities we have completed. So out of this, these two are one and the same, right? That is H, I composition H, 1, 2 composition H are all same. Then this is coinciding with 1, 3 into H. Is the same as what here? In 1, 3 into H, you have 1, 3 and 1, 2, 3. Here also you have the same thing. So this is equal to 1, 2, 3 into H. Okay, then this has 2, 3 and 1, 3, 2. So 2, 3 composition H is equal to 1, 3, 2 composition H. So these are the 3 distinct left cosets. But if you find the right cosets, you may not see the same partition. It will be different. You have to do that. Maybe you can take that as a homework. You can do that. You can check whether left cosets and right cosets are same. It will be same only in the case operation is commutative or the group is abelian. Both mean one and the same. Clear? Hello? Hello? Oh,
Yes,
yeah,
ma'am.
you are.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Shall I move on to the next?
Ma'am,
Yes, ma. Tell me.
S3 as a group is abelian or not?
It is not abelian. Because the operation is composition of functions, right?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
S2 is abelian because it has only two elements. Any group of order 2 is always abelian. But any group of order 3 is also abelian. Prime number, if you take it, is always abelian. Right? Order 4 is also abelian. Groups till order 4 always abelian. Okay. So after order 4, groups of prime order are abelian. Prime order means I think you can understand whose order is a prime value. 5 is abelian, but 6 may not be abelian. For example, you have taken S3. S3 is not abelian, right? Don't do much research on these things. That is not needed for you. That's what I'm not insisting on. Okay, next, very important thing, Lagrange's theorem. Lagrange's theorem. What does Lagrange's theorem says? Lagrange is a mathematician. Have you ever heard about his name? Lagrange.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. In physics also, have you heard his name?
Ma'am,
Physics?
in calculus mean value theorem.
Correct. Mean value theorem. Yes. So maths you have heard. Physics you have not heard. Okay. Sure. So what does Lagrange's theorem says? Let G comma star be a group. Okay. And let H comma star be a subgroup of it. Subgroup of it. Okay. Then the order of H divides the order of G. Divides the order of G. Order of H divides the order of G. Can you understand what I am saying? See, previously you have seen an example. G, S3, it had 6 elements. We took a subgroup. How many elements were there? 2. So 2 always divides 6. For example, let G comma star be a group and let order of G be, maybe I can give it as some easy value. I'll give 21. So question is, what are all the possible orders of, very important here, possible orders of the subgroups of G? Only I'm saying possible. Right? What are all the possible? I cannot say, see, I cannot say converse of the Lagrange's theorem is true always. What should be the converse? For every divisor of the order of G, suppose order of G is what? Maybe 15. What are all the divisors of 15? 1, 3, 5, 15. Right? For 1, always it exists. See, whenever you have subgroups of order 1, that is trivial group. Identity alone will be there. Not interesting. It's not a proper subgroup. Subgroup of order 15 means the group itself is a subgroup of itself. So I don't like it. It's not a proper subset, that concept. It's not a proper subgroup. So I'm not interested in these two things. I'm interested in only these two things. So the only thing I can say is there are, see, if at all, if you find the subgroups of this particular group G, the only possible orders are 3 and 5. Only possible, but I cannot ensure that there will be subgroups of order 3 and there will be subgroups of order 5. No, not at all I can say. These are all the possible orders. So that is the meaning of converse of Lagrange's theorem, right? So suppose if I say order of G is 72 and order of H, subgroups order is 35, what can you say? Is this possible? By Lagrange's theorem, is this possible?
No, ma'am.
No. So I have to say that since Lagrange's theorem says that order of H should divide order of G, 35 will not divide 72. So such a subgroup does not exist. Okay, it is just like a necessary condition. The back way you cannot go. So you cannot find the divisors of the order of G and say in each and every divisor there will be a subgroup. No, that is not possible. It need not be true, right? So that's why I'm asking a question. What are all the possible orders? Very careful when I mention. So can you say whenever order of G is 21, what are the possible orders of the subgroups of H, subgroup of G possible? How do you write?
1,
Ma'am, 3.
7, 21. Okay. So first you can write like this. The divisors of 21 are 1, 3, 7, 21. The possible orders of subgroups G are 1, 3, 7 and 21. The possible orders are proper subgroups. Orders of proper subgroups are 3 and 7. Because nobody is interested in groups of order 1. Always identity element alone will be there. What you are going to do with them, right? So 3 and 7. That is what. That's why I'm specifically saying possible orders. I cannot very well say you will have a group of order, subgroup of order 3. Not possible. These are all the possibilities. If at all a subgroup exists, it will be of order 3 and 7. Right? Okay. Is this clear? That's all with Lagrange's theorem. You need not go much deeper into this. This much is enough with respect to Lagrange's theorem. Then, group homomorphism. Whatever I teach, that much is enough here. Don't go beyond that. Don't get confused. See, actually, homomorphism is a mapping. So you might have studied what linear transformations, right? I know many of you have completed linear algebra. So linear transformations are mapping between vector spaces and vector spaces. So just like that, I'm going to define mappings between two groups and I'm going to check whether it satisfies a particular property. If that satisfies a particular property, then I'm going to call that as a group homomorphism, right? Okay, let me give the definition first. Let G1 comma star and G2 comma delta. See, G1 is a group, binary operation star. G2 is a group, delta is a binary operation. B, two groups. Okay. A mapping F from G1 to G2 is called a group homomorphism. Is called a group homomorphism if F of A star B is equal to F of A delta F of B. 1 minute here, I'll explain you. See here, A and B are elements in G1. Okay, better. 1 minute, just 1 minute. A, B are two elements in G1, right? In G2, so corresponding images will be f of A, f of B. I hope you understand this. Whenever A will be mapped onto f of A. F of A is an element of G2, right? B will be mapped onto f of B. F of B will be an element of G2. So where will A star be mapped? What will be f of A star B, right? It should go to f of A star B. And what is that f of A star B in terms of this f of A and f of B? It is nothing but, already you know f of A, delta f of B. Delta is an operation in G2, right? That's it. That is the thing they are saying. So f of A star B is f of A delta f of B. So if this is satisfied for all, very important, for all A comma B in G1, then I can call that particular mapping as a group homomorphism. Please read this well, try to understand. Understand and then say whether I can. It's clear? Point is clear? Shall I proceed?
Ma'am,
Yes, ma, tell me.
delta is another binary operation.
Yes, ma, because I'm going to consider two different groups, right? So one group has a binary operation star, the other group has binary operation delta. Okay, va?
Okay. Yes, ma'am.
Check. We'll see some examples. So for example, first question. Prove that f from r comma plus. What do you mean by r comma plus? Actually, what is R is what? Real numbers, right? R, so here the group is set of all real numbers under addition. Here the group is, I have underlined. What does that mean? Set of all positive real numbers. Not only real numbers, or not all real numbers, only positive real numbers. That means only positive values, right? With respect to dot. Dot means what? Usual multiplication, right? Given by, I'm going to define the mapping now. F of x is equal to e power x. Whenever I take any element x here, that will get mapped onto e power x. Is a group homomorphism. Group homomorphism. So what should be my aim? I take two elements here. Usually it will be mapped onto f of x, f of y, right? Okay. So what is the operation here in this group? It is x plus y. So where does f of x plus y go? It should go to f of x plus y. But what is that f of x plus y in terms of the images of x and y? It should be
e power x.
Yes, ma, tell me. Correct. F
of x dot f of y.
F of correct. Good. So to prove f of x plus y is equal to f of x into f of y for all x comma y belongs to real number. Always x and y are coming from the domain. It comes from R. Right. Check. Okay. Now I'm going to take the LHS now. What is f of x plus y? Okay. F of x in R, it is e power x. So x is an element in R, y is an element in R, x plus y is also an element in R. Accept? No, x is an element in R.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, x plus y is also an element in R. So any x element in R maps onto e power x. So any x plus y in R should be mapped onto
E power x plus
e power x plus y. So, but what is e power x plus y? Can you split this into two?
e power x into e power y.
E power x into e power y. So what is e power x?
F of x.
F of x. E power y? F of x. So f of x plus y equal to f of x into f of y for all x comma y in R. Hence, very simple. Please look into this. Clear, huh? Bache, shall I
Yes.
move on to? Yes, ma'am. Okay.
Yes,
So if
ma'am.
you have any doubt, please tell me. I'll move on to the other. Second question. Check whether F from Z. Okay. Z to Z defined by Z to Z, I think you know, integers defined by f of x is equal to 5x. It is better to specify the operation. Okay, I'll specify the operation. Z is a group under what operation here? Hello? Oi. Answer my question. Z is a group under what operation?
Addition.
Addition. Okay, no, it is better to specify like this, right? So they have defined the mapping as every x will go to 5x, 1 will go to 5, 2 will go to 10. That way it is mapped, right? Okay. We have to prove whether it is a group homomorphism or not. Okay, solution. Will this be a group homomorphism? Why are you all feeling hungry? That is the reason you are not able to open your mouth.
Yes, ma'am, it's group homomorphism.
Yes, feeling hungry.
No, ma'am, it's group homomorphism.
Sorry, okay. So let me start like this. Let x comma y belongs to z, right? So now we check f of x plus y is equal to f of x plus f of y. Okay. So f of x plus y is what? X maps onto 5x. So x plus y maps onto 5 into x plus y. So it is 5x plus 5y. 5x is f of x. F of y. So hence F is a group homomorphism. Clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Okay. Now I'll give you a question. You have to check and see, right? Let F from Z comma plus to Z comma plus be defined by f of x is equal to, I'm saying some 3, right? For all x in Z. Check whether F is a homomorphism, group homomorphism, because there are many homomorphisms here. Even monoid homomorphism is there, semi-group homomorphism there. I am interested in only group homomorphism. Can you please check and say? Will this be a group homomorphism?
No, ma'am.
Why? What is the reason?
Like f of x plus y is not equal to f of x plus f of y.
Cherry. Okay. So let me take some x comma y in Z, right? Okay. F of x plus y should be equal to what? According to this, any element maps onto 3. So x plus y is also an element of Z that will also get mapped onto 3. What is f of x? F of x maps onto 3. F of y is also 3. So I should not say like that. X maps onto 3. That means f of x is 3. Y gets mapped onto 3. So f of y is 3. So f of x plus f of y is 6. F of x plus y equal to 3, not equal to 6, which is f of x plus f of. So
Ma'am?
therefore, n ma, yes.
I didn't understand how you brought f of x plus y equals 3. I didn't get that.
1 minute, yeah. See, what is the meaning of this mapping? Any integer gets mapped onto 3. That is the way I have defined, right? So here, if x is an integer, y is an integer, x plus y is also an integer.
Yes, ma'am.
So where does x plus y maps onto? It should be mapped onto 3 only. Is this point clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Ah, okay. So hence it is not a group homomorphism. F is not a group homomorphism. F is not a group homomorphism. Okay, next question. Clear? Next question.
Excuse me, ma'am.
Yes, ma, tell me.
Ma'am, if domain operation is multiplication, then f of xy we need to check.
Ha, good, correct. 1 minute. I'll give you one example. See what he's asking is, suppose I have r star comma multiplication to r plus comma plus na. If I take two elements here, I should check f of x into y is equal to here, but operation is addition. F of x plus f of y. It will be ulta. Clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Ah, yes. Sure. So look into the what operation in the domain and also the codomain. Accordingly, you write. Okay, next question. So this is a different question. See, let f from m2 cross 2 over r to r be defined by what is m2 cross 2 over r?
All 2 by 2 matrices.
Enema? 2 by 2 matrices.
All
Okay.
2 by 2.
With entries from the real numbers. Okay. So be defined by how I'm going to define this. Can you say any one mapping? 2 by 2 matrices, you are going to map it with the real value. 2 by 2 la 4 entries will be there. Can you give one mapping? It is up to you. You can decide your own mapping. Any one mapping? No, ma, just say one mapping. It is up to you. You can decide the way you want to define. You can define. 4 entries are there, but it should go to one entry. What way you can define? F of A, B, C, D is equal to trace of A, B, C, D. Correct? What do you mean by trace of a matrix?
Sum of diagonal elements.
Yes, good. So I can write A plus D. Defined by this. Check whether F is a homomorphism. Will this be a group homomorphism? Can you please check? For that, you have to check two matrices here. Take two matrices here. Very important. I didn't specify the operation, right? Comma with respect to matrix addition here. M2 cross 2 is a group under matrix addition. or matrix multiplication? Which should be better here?
Ma'am, addition.
Addition. Okay.
And ma'am, for R, it is the group under addition we'll consider.
Or also addition, usual addition. R is a group under usual addition. Can you check whether it is a group homomorphism? Solution. What I do is let A1, B1, C1, D1. I'll take randomly two matrices, right? From M2 cross 2 over R. Okay, va? So I'll independently calculate this one. What is this? A1 plus D1. Okay, what is this? A2 plus D2. So what is your aim actually? Check F of A1. 1 minute here. Pen is creating some problem. Just 1 minute. F of A1, B1, C1, D1 plus A2, B2, C2, D2. This is equal to F of A1, B1, C1, D1. F of A2, B2, C2, D2. Okay. So right side, both the values we have calculated. Right. Now what is the sum of that? A1, B1, C1, D1 plus F of A2, B2, C2, D2. This is already known, A1 plus D1. Just now we calculated, and this is A2 plus D2. Okay, let it be. Let us go to the left side now. F of A1, B1, C1, D1 plus A2, B2, C2, D2 is equal to F of A1 plus A2, B1 plus B2, C1 plus C2, D1 plus D2. Okay. What is this? Where does it maps?
A1 plus A2, D1 plus D2.
Both are one and the same, huh?
Yes, ma'am.
So if I want, I'll do like this. Let this be 1. Let this be 2. So from 1 and 2, F is a group homomorphism. Okay, clear? Okay, one more question I'm going to give. You are going to tell me the answer. Now you. Okay, let F be a mapping from Z comma plus to Z comma plus defined by F of X equal to X square. Check whether F is a group homomorphism. Can you please do this? So if there is any discrepancy, you have to say where is that problem? Problem should be identified.
X plus Y the whole square is not equal to X square plus Y square.
That's good. Correct. Obvious. Not a group homomorphism. Correct. So F of X plus Y is what? Any element maps onto its square. So X plus Y should map onto plus Y the whole square. F of X plus F of Y is X square plus Y square. And therefore, f of x plus 5 not equal to f of x plus f of y, f is not a group homomorphism. So you have seen this example in even linear transformation, right? I think you remember. Okay. Okay, I think time is there. What is the time now? 12?
25, ma'am.
25. Time is there. Just I'll introduce the next topic. Still, this module 3 is not over. Module 3 somewhat lengthier. Module 4 and all we can complete as on time. 5, 6, 7 and all it will be very fast. Don't worry. Coding theory. So, what do you mean by group codes? So, what is the use of it? Okay. So, you know cryptography. Have you ever heard about cryptography?
Yes, ma'am.
So what is the use of that? You linear algebra you have studied, right? One way of encoding the message you have studied. So, but here you are going to study another way of encoding the messages using group theory concepts. That is using cosets concept, you are going to encode the messages. So in linear algebra, you might have learned you can write everything in terms of what? Numbers, and numbers will be corresponding numbers you'll be writing in the alphabets, all those things. Then, sorry, alphabets first, alphabets in numbers, and numbers will be converted into different numbers using a matrix. So same way, here also something like that, but not exactly the same. This is a different concept, right? So why we are going for this cryptography? What is the use of this? Why should we go for cryptography? We have to send the messages securely, right? You are going to send some messages. So the receiver who is receiving the message should get the same message whatever you have sent. Sometimes in between what may happen? The message may be hacked, or there may be some disturbances and the message may be lost, or it may be changed. Something like that will happen. So whatever the receiver received and whatever the message sent by the user may not be the same. So there is no purpose. The purpose is not solved, right? So process of all communication always involves transmitting some information that should be conveyed by the sender to the receiver properly. Okay. So what is the use of this coding theory? It helps us minimizing the what? Distortions means what? The problems that is being created. Okay. Maybe the problems may be due to noise or something like that. Any problem may be there. In between, something may be happening, and that may be changing the actual message sent, right? So to retrieve the original message, what you have to do? You can add some extra parity check entries at the end, and you can send it like that. You can have many things. So these are all the basics for the coding theory. Maybe tomorrow I'll start.